Welcome to this in-depth exploration of one of the most impactful books ever written, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. If you've ever wondered how to genuinely connect with others, foster lasting relationships, and become someone people truly like and trust, you're in the right place. Picture yourself entering any room or scenario and instantly making a positive impact. Imagine influencing others not through manipulation, but through understanding, empathy, and respect. This book isn't just a guide. It's a blueprint for transforming your interactions with the world around you. First published in 1936, How to Win Friends and Influence People has sold millions of copies worldwide, and for good reason. The principles Dale Carnegie shares are timeless and just as effective today as they were nearly a century ago. What makes this book particularly powerful is its simplicity. Carnegie doesn't merely tell you what to do. He shows you how small, thoughtful actions can deeply affect your relationships and your life. Throughout this audiobook summary, we'll break down these principles and explore how you can apply them in your daily interactions. We'll delve into real-world examples, analyze the psychology behind Carnegie's advice, and provide practical tips that you can start using immediately. Whether you're looking to enhance your personal relationships, advance in your career, or simply become a better, more compassionate communicator, this summary has something for you. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on this journey together. By the end of this audiobook, you'll have the tools you need to not just win friends and influence people, but to do so in a way that's authentic, meaningful, and lasting. Fundamental techniques in handling people. We begin with foundational techniques crucial for effectively handling people. These principles may seem simple, but their application requires thoughtful consideration and consistent practice. Carnegie starts with a powerful message. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. It's a natural human reaction to point out faults and express dissatisfaction, but Carnegie warns that this approach often backfires. When criticized, people tend to become defensive, justifying their actions instead of reflecting on them. This is because criticism, no matter how well-intentioned, often feels like a personal attack. Consider a workplace scenario where a manager criticizes an employee's performance in front of others. The employee is likely to feel humiliated and demotivated, leading to resentment and decreased productivity. Instead, Carnegie suggests focusing on positive reinforcement, highlighting what the person is doing right, and gently guiding them toward improvement. This approach preserves the individual's dignity and fosters a more supportive and cooperative environment. Next, Carnegie emphasizes the importance of honest and sincere appreciation. In a world quick to find fault, genuine appreciation stands out. It's not about empty flattery, but about recognizing and valuing the contributions and efforts of others. When you express sincere appreciation, you acknowledge the person's worth, which strengthens your relationship and builds trust. Imagine a leader who regularly acknowledges the hard work of their team. This recognition boosts morale and motivates the team to continue performing well. However, it's important to ensure that your appreciation is specific and genuine. For instance, instead of simply saying, "You did a great job," you could say, "I really appreciate how you handled that difficult client with such patience and professionalism. It made a significant difference." Carnegie's third fundamental technique is to arouse in the other person an eager want. This principle is rooted in empathy, understanding the desires and motivations of others. To influence someone effectively, you need to frame your ideas in a way that aligns with their interests and goals. For example, if you're trying to persuade a colleague to take on a challenging project, rather than focusing on why it's important to you, emphasize how this project could provide them with valuable experience, showcase their skills to senior management, and potentially lead to future opportunities. By aligning your request with their personal goals, you make it more compelling and increase the likelihood of their enthusiastic cooperation. 6 ways to make people like you. The second part of Carnegie's book offers 6 key strategies for making people like you, an essential aspect of building strong, positive relationships. One of the most effective ways to connect with others is to become genuinely interested in them. People can sense when your interest is authentic versus when it's superficial. By taking the time to learn about others, ask meaningful questions, and listen attentively to their answers, you show that you value them as individuals. In a social setting, this might mean asking someone about their hobbies, family, or recent experiences, and truly engaging in the conversation, rather than waiting for your turn to speak. This type of interaction creates a bond, making the other person feel valued and understood. Another simple yet powerful tool for making a positive impression is to smile. A smile is a universal gesture of goodwill and can instantly make you appear more approachable and friendly. It's not just about the physical act of smiling. It's about embodying a positive and open attitude that others can sense. Consider the difference between entering a room with a stern expression versus entering with a warm smile. The latter immediately puts others at ease and sets a positive tone for any interaction that follows. Smiling can also have a profound impact on your own mood and the atmosphere of the environment you're in. Carnegie also highlights the importance of remembering and using people's names. A person's name is deeply personal, and hearing it in conversation can create a sense of recognition and respect. By remembering names and using them naturally in conversation, you show that you see the other person as an individual rather than just another face in the crowd. In professional settings, taking the time to remember the names of colleagues, clients, and associates can go a long way in building rapport. For example, when meeting someone for the first time, try to repeat their name a few times during the conversation. This helps reinforce your memory and makes the other person feel acknowledged. Being a good listener is another critical skill that Carnegie emphasizes. In today's fast-paced world, true listening is a rare and valuable quality. When you listen actively, you're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're fully engaged in what the other person is saying, responding thoughtfully, and showing empathy. Active listening involves maintaining eye contact, nodding to show you're following along, and asking clarifying questions when needed. This type of listening makes the other person feel heard and valued, which is crucial in building strong, lasting relationships. When conversing with others, it's also important to talk in terms of their interests. People are naturally more engaged when the conversation revolves around topics they care about. This principle is about aligning your discussions with the other person's passions and concerns. For instance, if you know that a colleague is passionate about environmental sustainability, you could discuss new initiatives in your company that align with those values. By focusing on what matters to them, you not only keep the conversation engaging, but also strengthen your connection with the person. Finally, Carnegie advises making the other person feel important and doing it sincerely. Everyone wants to feel valued and appreciated, and when you recognize someone's worth in a genuine way, it creates a powerful bond. This principle is about treating others with the respect and appreciation they deserve, whether in personal or professional relationships. Taking the time to acknowledge someone's contributions, skills, or character can have a lasting impact. The key is to ensure that your appreciation is heartfelt and specific, as people can easily detect insincerity. How to win people to your way of thinking. In the third part of the book, Carnegie delves into strategies for influencing others and winning them over to your way of thinking without resorting to force or coercion. Carnegie suggests that the best way to win an argument is to avoid it altogether. Arguments are often unproductive because they create defensiveness and entrenchment in one's position. Even if you win the argument, you might lose the person's goodwill and trust. Instead of engaging in heated debates, Carnegie advises finding common ground and steering the conversation in a positive direction. This might involve acknowledging the other person's point of view and expressing a willingness to understand it before presenting your own perspective. Respect is a cornerstone of effective communication, and Carnegie emphasizes the importance of showing respect for others' opinions. Telling someone directly that they're wrong is likely to put them on the defensive and close off any possibility of productive dialogue. Instead, consider expressing your perspective in a way that respects the other person's viewpoint. For example, you might say, "I can see why you might think that, and I've considered that point of view as well. However, here's another angle that I believe is worth exploring." This approach keeps the conversation open and respectful. When you realize you've made a mistake, Carnegie advises admitting it quickly and emphatically. Admitting your errors can be disarming, earning you respect and trust. It shows that you're human, humble, and willing to take responsibility for your actions. For example, if you've made a wrong decision at work, promptly acknowledging the mistake and taking steps to correct it can prevent the situation from escalating and maintain your credibility with your team. Starting conversations on a positive note is another strategy Carnegie advocates. Beginning in a friendly way sets the tone for the interaction. When you approach someone with warmth and positivity, they're more likely to be receptive to your ideas. In negotiations, starting with common ground or expressing genuine appreciation for the other person's perspective can pave the way for more constructive discussions. This approach helps create a cooperative atmosphere where both parties feel valued. Carnegie also suggests getting the other person to say yes early in the conversation. By finding points of agreement at the outset, you create positive momentum, making it easier to reach consensus on more significant issues later on. For example, if you're negotiating a deal, you might start by highlighting areas where both parties already agree. This builds a sense of collaboration and makes it easier to navigate more challenging aspects of the discussion. When people start saying yes to small, non-controversial points, they are more likely to maintain a cooperative mindset, making them more open to considering your perspective on more complex matters. Another key technique Carnegie emphasizes is letting the other person do a great deal of the talking. Often, when we want to persuade someone, we're tempted to dominate the conversation with our ideas and opinions. However, Carnegie points out that people are more likely to be convinced when they come to their own conclusions. By allowing the other person to express their thoughts and feelings, you create a sense of involvement and ownership in the conversation. This approach also gives you valuable insights into their concerns and motivations, which you can then address more effectively. Carnegie also recommends allowing others to feel that an idea is theirs. People are naturally more committed to ideas they believe they've come up with themselves. Instead of presenting your ideas as commands or directives, you can frame them as suggestions or questions, encouraging the other person to take ownership. For example, if you're working on a project with a colleague, rather than saying, "We should do this," you might say, "What do you think about this approach?" This invites them to contribute their thoughts and feel like they're part of the decision-making process. Another principle Carnegie discusses is trying to see things from the other person's point of view. Empathy is a powerful tool in any interaction. By understanding and acknowledging the other person's perspective, you can better address their concerns and make them feel heard. This doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but it shows that you respect their viewpoint and are willing to consider it. For instance, in a business negotiation, if you understand the other party's needs and constraints, you can propose solutions that meet both of your objectives, leading to a more successful outcome. Appealing to nobler motives is another tactic Carnegie suggests. Most people like to think of themselves as fair, reasonable, and good-hearted. By appealing to these qualities, you can often persuade others to act in a way that aligns with your goals. For example, if you're asking for a favor, you might emphasize how their help could benefit others or contribute to a greater good. This approach can inspire people to go above and beyond, not just for your sake, but because it aligns with their own values. Lastly, Carnegie highlights the importance of dramatizing your ideas. People are more likely to remember and be persuaded by ideas that are presented in a vivid and engaging way. Whether you're making a presentation, writing a proposal, or simply trying to persuade someone in a conversation. Finding ways to make your message more compelling can make a big difference. This could involve using stories, metaphors, or visual aids to bring your ideas to life and make them more memorable. Be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. In the final section of the book, Carnegie turns his attention to leadership, specifically, how to change people's behavior without causing resentment. The first principle he introduces is to begin with praise and honest appreciation. When you need to correct someone's behavior or give constructive feedback, starting with a genuine compliment or acknowledgement of their strengths can soften the blow and make them more receptive to your suggestions. For example, if you're giving feedback to an employee, you might start by acknowledging their hard work and dedication before addressing areas for improvement. This approach helps maintain their self-esteem and keeps the conversation positive. Next, Carnegie advises calling attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Instead of directly pointing out what someone did wrong, you can guide them to realize their mistake on their own. This might involve asking questions that lead them to see the issue or framing the correction in a way that doesn't feel like a personal attack. For example, rather than saying, "You made a mistake in this report," you could say, "I noticed a discrepancy in this section. What do you think might have happened?" This allows the person to save face while still addressing the issue. Carnegie also suggests talking about your own mistakes before criticizing others. By admitting your own faults, you create a sense of humility and make it easier for others to accept their own mistakes. For instance, if you're a manager addressing an employee's mistake, you might say, "I've made similar mistakes in the past, and here's how I learned from them. Let's work together to figure out how we can improve this." This approach fosters a collaborative atmosphere and reduces the likelihood of defensiveness. Another effective technique is asking questions instead of giving direct orders. This approach can make others feel more involved in the decision-making process and less like they're being commanded. For example, instead of saying, "Do this task," you might ask, "How do you think we should approach this task?" This encourages initiative and makes the other person feel more empowered and engaged. Carnegie also emphasizes the importance of letting the other person save face. In any situation where someone has made a mistake or failed to meet expectations, it's important to handle the situation in a way that preserves their dignity. Publicly shaming or criticizing someone can cause lasting damage to their self-esteem and your relationship with them. Instead, find ways to address the issue privately and with sensitivity. For example, if you need to correct an employee, do so in a private setting and frame the conversation in a way that focuses on solutions rather than blame. Finally, Carnegie advises giving the other person a fine reputation to live up to. By expressing confidence in someone's abilities and character, you can inspire them to meet those expectations. For instance, if you're working with a team member who has been underperforming, you might say, "I've always admired your attention to detail and your commitment to quality. I know you can bring that same level of excellence to this project." This positive reinforcement can motivate them to rise to the occasion and improve their performance. Conclusion: How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie offers timeless wisdom on human interaction and personal effectiveness. By applying the principles outlined in this book, you can enhance your relationships, influence others more effectively, and become a better leader. The key takeaway is that people are more likely to respond positively when they feel respected, valued, and understood. Whether you're looking to improve your social skills, advance in your career, or simply become a more compassionate and effective communicator, Carnegie's advice provides a practical roadmap for success. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary from the Book Pulse channel. We hope you found this summary insightful and that it inspires you to apply these principles in your own life. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth book summaries and discussions. If you enjoyed this summary, please like, share, and leave a comment below with your thoughts or any experiences you've had applying these principles. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and building meaningful connections.